Silicon Valley is already the center of the tech world. Now it wants to become the center of Bay Area football.
We talk about the 49ers move with South Bay sports advocate Larry Stone. Then tech insider Mark Albertson is here to talk about Apple, the newest electronic gadgets in the state of the valley. The game is Silicon Valley and the game is on.
I'm Bob Marks.
And I'm Mark Simon. Welcome to the game. By day, he's a humble, low-key assessor for Santa Clara County. By night, he's super sports advocate for the South Bay. Larry, you have been, this is Larry Stone, I should say, you have been advocating for a major league franchise in the South Bay for longer than I think either one of us might care to remember. And now it looks like the 49ers are going to come to Santa Clara. Is it, in your mind, a done deal? Because in San Francisco, they want to believe it's not a done deal.
Well, I think if they can put together the right financial package that's acceptable to the city of Santa Clara, they want to be in Santa Clara. That's the best place for them to relocate to. It's unfortunate that they can't stay in San Francisco, but the Candlestick Point site simply does not work. It's too expensive, too long a process. They estimate $500 million worth of infrastructure costs before they build the $600 to $800 million stadium. So I believe that they'll be in Santa Clara. And the only thing that could stop that, I think, is if they couldn't put together a financial package that was acceptable to the voters down there and to the city council.
What kind of financial package are they looking at in Santa Clara that's going to take to make the deal happen?
Well, right now they're doing a financial feasibility study, but I think it'll be based kind of on the Lou Wolf model, and that is using land that's owned by the city.
Lou Wolf, owner of the A's, getting ready to move the team to Fremont.
Correct, and it's very hard to do these deals in California because of the requirements for 2/3 votes and those kind of things. So what's happening is, and Lou's kind of plowed this ground, and I think the Niners are going to follow that model, and that is to buy or lease land that's owned by the city and take their profits for their contribution to the stadium on a later in terms of development rights. And I think that's a model that seems to be working here in California to accomplish things that other states accomplish by a vote of the state legislature, for example.
Larry, I think if this stadium is built, they should build a statue of you outside. As Mark said, you've been doing this a long time, number of efforts with the Giants. Do you ever feel like you're being used in these processes? What's your feeling on that?
Well, no, I've always I'm a sports fan, obviously, and I've always felt that new ballparks and new stadiums are what's necessary to have to be a major league metropolitan area. If you can learn by failure, I've learned a lot because it's just been a very difficult task. But it looks like it's going to happen, both with the A's coming to Fremont, which is right next door to Silicon Valley, and the 49ers coming to Santa Clara.
Why do this? What difference does it make? I mean, is it that part of that South Bay's constant fear that no one will think they're important if they don't have the trappings of a big league city? Well,
I think to be a major league city or a big league city like San Jose, there's a number of things. You need the arts, the symphony, the ballet. You need a first-class airport and a first-class convention center. We have neither. Those kind of things. And professional sports are just part of that mix. They're not even the most important part of that mix, but it's important for identity, for entertainment value, for a well-rounded mixture of things for people to do in professional sports. Just think what the Sharks have done for the identity of San Jose and Silicon Valley. I mean, you can't buy that kind of identity, and that's important for people to identify with the community that they're in.
But isn't there sort of a visceral sense that the San Francisco 49ers ought to be in San Francisco?
Well, I think they should be. In fact, when they contacted me a year and a half ago, they said, we are looking down here as a backup site. We belong in San Francisco. We expect to stay in San Francisco, but they were doing a financial and project feasibility study, and they were on Candlestick Point, and they were afraid that would not be successful. So they intended to stay in San Francisco, but everybody's trying to place blame here. They're trying to blame the mayor for losing the San Francisco 49ers. They're trying to blame Dr. York and the ownership of the 49ers for going to Santa Clara, and the only thing to blame is the site. The Candlestick Point site and the Hunters Point site simply do not work. compared to what you have in Santa Clara.
And it's important to note there's nowhere else in San Francisco. It's not a big town anyway,
Correct.
in terms of square area.
Correct.
Talk to us a little about the vision for the stadium, the facilities around the stadium. What's that going to look like?
It's just ideal. Number one, for football, the most important things are parking and access. So when you have Candlestick Point, you really have only two ways in and out, no matter what infrastructure costs to improve that access that there's there. And they both empty out into the same freeway, less than a mile apart. In Santa Clara, you have Highway 237, Highway 101, 880, a number of ways in and out, which is tremendously important. Light rail literally stops at the front door. You have heavy rail less than a mile away. You've got 40,000 parking spaces in existence now within a mile of the area, including Mission College. And because the 49er games are played primarily on Sundays, there's all kinds of available parking. So the infrastructure largely is there. The convention center is across the street. 3 major hotels right next door: the Hyatt Regency, the Marriott, and the Hilton. So most of the infrastructure and the needs that you have, tailgating and so forth, is an important part of the game day experience for professional football teams, and that's already in existence, rather than having to build it for $500 million at the Candlestick Point site.
And the knock on the site is the same knock you hear on Fremont that you used to hear about Oakland. There is no real there. It is not a downtown. It's not an urban environment. Is that a genuine detriment, or is that just something people say because that's the first thing they think of?
Well, you know, sports stadiums, ballparks and stadiums can enhance an area, but they can't drive economic redevelopment. We've seen that at Candlestick Point with Candlestick Park. We've seen that in Oakland. So there's a lot of facilities existing in Santa Clara already, restaurants and bars and so forth that will be enhanced, and there'll be more to be developed on land that's owned by the city, probably going to be leased by the 49ers, you know, to develop and to create, enhance what's there now versus trying to create something new.
We see Dianne Feinstein, Senator Feinstein, Carol Migden, others trying to keep the 49ers in San Francisco. What can they do? I mean, is there anything that they can do that could change this equation?
I think legislatively you can't. I mean, this is a private business. Everybody talks about sports teams and franchises being a business enterprise, and that's what they are. Certainly, you know, the name is owned by the city, by the San Francisco 49ers. And it's very important. You know, the most important thing for a football team that only plays 10 games a year to a community is the name. And they're going to keep the San Francisco name. There's a number of examples of NFL teams that play elsewhere. The Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey. They don't even play in New York State. The same thing with the Dallas Cowboys. So as long as that name is maintained and the city of Santa Clara is willing to allow them to keep the name San Francisco, I think that's the most important thing, and that's why I think that Gavin Newsom's opposition and Dianne Feinstein and Carol Migden's is very much misplaced.
In a lot of ways, the move of the team somewhere else reflects how the Bay Area has changed, doesn't it? That it's not really more of an economic region than it's ever been.
Absolutely. This is the Bay Area region, and the San Francisco 49ers need to stay within the region. And the best place to relocate them, obviously, is the site in Santa Clara. And maintaining the San Francisco name and you know, making a major contribution to the area. It's unlike baseball. Baseball plays 81 games, so it's a lot more of involvement and a lot better attendance. The most attendance that the 49ers will drive is 700,000 people a year, and it's the same 700,000 people because most of them have season tickets. So the identity with the San Francisco 49ers is not going to the games, but it's mainly through TV.
What about the city of Santa Clara, the community itself? How do they feel about this?
Well, from what I can tell, I know the city council and the mayor are very much in favor of it, but you know, the devil's in the details. I mean, they got to work out a financial plan that's acceptable to them. But it's very important that this be a regional effort, that the people in San Jose